So Wendy, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm really excited to hear about Boldcraft Framework, which is your very own baby. I'm going to pass the mic over to you. And I know you mentioned it's about 25-30 minutes of the presentation itself, and the rest of the time we have will be a little more interactive. So people, get your mics ready, but in the meantime, we'll mute.
Great, thank you so much, Kristen, and thank you for inviting me to speak today. So yeah, you can probably see the chart behind me in my background. What I'd like to do is introduce that to all of you today and explain how it works and how I use it to show my clients the digital strategy that I prepared for them. And after I give you a tour of the chart, then what I'd like to do is maybe do some brainstorming on different situations that you've had with your clients or even with your own business to talk about how can we make sure that you're covering all the bases for guiding your customer's journey in a digital marketing campaign. How does that sound? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I have a PowerPoint presentation. So let me do that right now. And let me get it started. Okay, are you all seeing my screen? All right. So the name of my framework is called Boldcraft, and it uses logic, algorithms, and the customer journey. So I've combined those three to ensure that whatever campaign I put together for my clients, it's going to play nice with all of the different elements. And my hope for today is that I will take you from a place of maybe being a little bit frustrated with not being able to explain to your clients the strategy that you've put together for them, or maybe figuring out a strategy for yourself, to I want to give you a method for showing your clients or your marketing team the strategy that you have in mind in a visual way. I'm a very visual person, and I made this so that I can have something visual to use with my clients. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, just so that you know who I am. My name is Wendy Louis Wilder. I have 3 kids. They're teenagers now. This is an older picture, but it's one of my favorite pictures of them. I live in Northern California, and I grew up in Minnesota, which is a northern state of the United States. It's very cold in the winter and hot in the summertime. And I'm very passionate about being outside, and I love photographing food. I'm a foodie. I have 2 food blogs. And here's my truck. I drive a truck. I do a lot of outdoor activities. I started building websites in 1997. I have a dual degree in business and humanities with a focus on computer science. And then I have a master's degree in technology management. I've worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and I've built 100+ websites. So that's just a little bit about me, so you know my perspective. So what I'd like to do today is I want to introduce you to Boldcraft and the chart, show you how to use it to plan a campaign, and then my hope is that we can do some brainstorming with some situations that you might have in your business or your work. So a little bit of background, I have a company called Future Bright. We do website design and development. And what I found is that we were building these really powerful websites that had everything integrated, CRMs, everything you can think of to make sure that the business could hit the ground running. But when I handed it over to them and they tried to find marketing folks to help them market their business, the marketing folks didn't know how to use all these tools. And I work with a lot of marketing folks who were having this problem where they had these marketing campaigns and plans, but they couldn't quite get their clients to understand it. So I heard a lot of things like their clients would say, well, I know I should be doing blog articles, but I don't know why. I heard a lot of discussion about, I want my client to do SEO, but I can't get them to understand why it's important. So there's a lot of frustration from both sides. A lot of times the client would give them some direction, they would spend a ton of money, and then the client would change their mind because they didn't understand what was going on. So a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment on both sides. And a lot of my marketing partners would have clients leave, clients bounce around from marketer to marketer because they feel like they're not getting the results they wanted. But what's really happening is that there hasn't been a way for people to communicate with each other so that they can both understand. And there's just been sort of a everything all over the place, all of the time situation with digital marketing. So me being a take action kind of person, I decided I was going to do something about it. So I read a ton of books, I took a bunch of classes, and I still came up empty-handed with my main question, which was, how do we know the right way to combine all of these different elements? And what is this, what is the standard way of doing that? Nobody had that answer. So I set out to fix that. And my goal was to identify a simple framework that will be a solid starting point for any business to create powerful, effective digital marketing campaigns. And the way I was going to do that is I put on my mathematical mind and I said, okay, I'm going to find the least common denominator in marketing campaigns. And because things are always changing in digital marketing, I'm going to find those elements that will not change. And when I figure out what those are, I bet that can be my framework. So this is what I found. There are 3 elements that I call the 3 certainties in digital marketing. The least common denominator that I found is the human decision-making process. Most humans make decisions using the same process we have for hundreds of thousands of years. And the elements that will not change are search and social algorithms are intentionally aligned with the human decision-making process. For example, Google has a team of engineers that studies decision-making. And then there are channels for communicating with your customers. These are not going to change. So I took these 3 certainties in digital marketing as a starting point. And when you combine them into a sentence, you have the definition of digital marketing. So digital marketing is the customer's journey, aided by algorithms, and supported by your outreach as a business. And I created this graphic to illustrate the 3 certainties. We have the customer journey, working towards a purchase. We have search and social algorithms supporting them. And then as the customer is going along in their journey, it's your job or the business's job to reach out to them through communication channels to make sure that they're getting the information they need to make a decision. So this was the conclusion of me trying to find out what is at the base of digital marketing. So I want to just speak a little bit about what is your customer's journey? What is the human decision-making process? And I'm going to move through this a little bit quickly. If you're interested, I can give you a link to my website and you can learn more about it. But let's look at this character, Jasmine. She's a lead engineer for an AI project. This is the chart. We're going to be looking at the customer journey here. So this is the lead funnel. You may recognize these levels. We have awareness, consideration, purchase, loyalty, and advocacy. So I'm going to take you on a journey with Jasmine of going through that process. So first, she realizes that she's working really hard and she's not exercising, and she really wants to be back in shape like she used to be. She starts to consider her options, like she could lift weights, go to the gym, ride a bike, and none of them sound fun. And then she remembers being a little girl and having a hula hoop and how much fun it was to play with her friends. And she realizes that she is the type of person who likes to be with people, and she needs to find a way to exercise with people. And she has this idea, I wonder if there are hula hoops for adults. Sure enough, she finds hula hoops for adults and she decides to buy one. So she buys a hula hoop, and after we've made a decision, we first validate for ourselves that it was a good decision. Like, do we have buyer's remorse, or are we happy with it? And then after that, we show our friends. Like, if we buy a dress, we try it out at home in front of the mirror, and then we wear it out and see if our friends like it. And if our friends like it, we feel really great about our decision, then the next step is we try to create a community around our decision, because that even further supports our decision. So what Jasmine did is she got her friends involved with a hula hoop group, and they all bought hula hoops. And this gave her even more confidence that she'd made the right decision, and she created a community around herself. And I have little markers here to show the number of hula hoops that were purchased at these different levels. So initially she just bought one hula hoop, and then she convinced a couple of her friends to buy hula hoops, and then she got a larger group to buy hula hoops. So I just wanted to show that it's important to recognize or realize that most of the sales happen after that first purchase. So if we're just focusing on getting people up here in the awareness level to make the first purchase and then we drop off, then we're missing out on most of our potential sales. So you might be wondering, or maybe some of you know, how do search engines and social media platforms know where we are in the decision-making process? And they do that through algorithms that have tracking mechanisms on the back end of websites. So for example, this is a real life situation. I walked by this art gallery and they had tables outside, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, tables outside of an art gallery. I went in and they had a vodka tasting shop inside, and they had one of those QR codes. So I scanned it to see what it was all about. And I went to their website, Hanson Sonoma Distillery. And a couple days later, when I went to Facebook, I saw an ad for Hanson's Distillery. And the reason I saw that ad is because Facebook has a pixel that the website owner put on the back of their website. So when I went there, it said, ping, Wendy's visiting our website. When she goes to Facebook, show her our ad. And so you can also learn how algorithms organize users by the ad choices you get when you are going to run an ad on Google or Facebook or any of the platforms. Just by looking at what these are called, you can kind of figure out, oh, sales, they're going to show this ad to people that either have visited our website or our competitors. So you can kind of reverse engineer how they're organizing people. So that was certainty number 2. Algorithms are aligned with the human decision-making process. Certainty number 3, channels for communication. So what I did is I created this grid. I thought, okay, what are the main channels that everyone's using, and how can I organize them? So I organized them by, these are elements that you own as a business. You have a website, you have your sales page, or some businesses, it's a series of pages. and your email. And then we have social media and ads. I grouped together events and partners because they have already existing communities. And then I have, sorry, my Zoom is covering it up so I can't see it, mobile app and the metaverse. So I created this grid and then I went across and I color coded it. So you can recognize, all right, if I'm trying to find people who are in the awareness level, I need to be putting content on my website, posting a video, doing social posts, and I should be participating with events and partners because they're going to have a new audience for me. So that's how this chart reads across. And what we haven't talked about yet is the content, the actual content that you create to go on these channels. And so I did an assessment of what algorithms are going to be looking for when they are trying to match up your content with people on these different levels. Skip past this. So just briefly, and you can go to my website and download a chart so you can study it more closely, but it's very clear what type of content people need on these levels, and algorithms will match up your content with the person who's at that level. So for example, people who are in the awareness level, they're just learning about their problem. They need information about their problem, about their desire, and their future tense. So the way this chart works is, again, you can follow the color across. For the awareness level, this is the content you create, and this is where you put it. So these are the three main sections of the chart. We have the customer journey, aided by algorithms. Algorithms are matching content on these channels to your customer. So we talked about that. I'm just going to skip ahead because I don't want to take up too much of your time here. Okay, so next, I'd like to show you how to use the chart to plan a marketing campaign. And then I thought we could do some brainstorming and troubleshoot some of the situations that you guys have found. So in this example that I told you of the vodka tasting room, what they had was they had their website here for people who are just in the awareness level. So that was me. I was walking along and I saw the shop and I became interested and I went to their website. And then because they had an ad set up, I went to their website and I didn't buy anything. I just left. So they ran this retargeting ad for me to remind me, hey, Wendy, remember you were at our website the other day? So I clicked on the ad and it took me directly to, oops, should be over here, took me directly to the sales page so I could buy vodka. So when you're looking at this chart, you can mark it up to kind of determine what the path should be for your customer. And ideally, you take them all the way through becoming an advocate for your brand. So if you think of it all in advance, then you have touch points in place to help them not just buy that one bottle, but to tell their friends about it and then to create a community around your brand. So this is an example of, I call it a digital blitz, and that's the name of my book. A digital blitz is a campaign that is planned out in advance for your customer through all 5 levels. So in this example, came to the website. They also had social posts. Website leads you to additional information. They have retargeting ads. These additional pages will take you to the sales page. And then once somebody buys from you, you have their email address. So you can send them emails and send them offers to share with their friends. So the benefit of using this diagram is you can help your client understand the importance of having all this in place so that they're creating this circle of loyalty and advocacy for their brand so that they can exponentially grow their sales. And the first few people that I showed my chart to, they said, can I have a poster of that chart? And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So I found this printer where you can get these different notebooks. This is a giant sticky notepad. This is a larger notebook, and here's a poster. So if you decide you want to have a copy of this that's more than just a printout, you can buy copies of it. And pretty soon, my book will be available, and it's printed on the back of the book too. So next, what I'd like to do is take a look at some examples that you guys might have and mark up the chart. But before I do that, I wanted to ask if any of you have any questions or if anything came up for you while I was giving this quick explanation of the chart.
Well, firstly, I really love the insights you shared, especially because it reduces a lot of customer friction and you're able to retain them very quickly with the proper retargeting. So I love that. And yeah, just like to, obviously, I'd like to get into the questions aspect as well, but honestly, it's really amazing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wendy, oh, sorry, Wendy, go on.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I had a quick question. I'm
Sure.
noticing that each one of these squares is numbered from 10 to 59. I was just wondering what those, like, where'd you get those numbers from, what they're affiliated with?
Oh, thank you for asking. So I'm really excited about these numbers. So what I decided is that I was going to number each one of these. And what you can do is, let's say you're putting a campaign into production. So let's see, let me go back a little bit. So here's the campaign you've presented to your client. And you can say to your team, okay, channel 10, what is our production plan for channel 10? Channel 10 is blog content. So you can use this numbering system in your documentation. Because up until now, there isn't a common name for each of these campaign parts. People call them the lead page for da 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 da. But as you start to use the chart and plan out these campaigns, you recognize that each of these channels have the same to-do list, no matter what the campaign is. And in my book, what I've done is each of these numbers has a chapter attached to it, explaining the channel and giving an example of a business that used that channel really well. So for example, channel 16 is participating in events to meet new people. So I talk about that and I give some examples of businesses that are really good at going to events and meeting new clients. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So where does the 10 come from? Where is there a number 1 somewhere?
Yeah, so it's funny. I started at 10 for 2 reasons. Number 1, you find that you're sorting these a lot, and if you start with the number 1, it doesn't always end up in the right place if you need to do it alphabetically. So I just said I'm going to start at 10, and also that means you can expand it on the under 10 or after 50. I wanted to be sure that I wasn't creating something that couldn't be built upon.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, and just so I'm gathering correctly, I see that you've within each row there are specific steps that you place in that color. So I'm guessing those are the ones that you suggest are the best pathways in which to achieve whichever row they're in. I noticed that there's some gray gradients. So some are pretty much completely white or others are darker gray. Does that signify how much you think that step or that medium could play into achieving that row's goal?
Thank you for asking that question. Yes, exactly. I wanted it to be really easy to quickly determine where to focus your time and energy. So if it's colored, it means focus on that block. If it's a darker gray, it means that may be beneficial for you. If it's white, it means irrelevant. And because, for example, if someone is in the awareness level, you don't have their email address. So there's logic built into this as well.
That is really cool to see. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wendy,
So,
I'm
yes.
I'm sorry. I'm curious if you can characterize the type of company, like what are the firmographics, the size, how long they've been in business, that seems to gravitate most to learning this process and implementing it, having the resources and warm bodies, I guess you would say, to be able to see this through to its conclusion.
Well, what's really special about this chart is that it works for a one-person business or a very large organization. I intentionally wanted it to be simple and basic that way. So I have clients who are one person. They're a coach and they're trying to figure out, I'm just one person. How do I do all of this? They feel so overwhelmed. And by using this chart with this one person business, we can say, okay, what's really important to you right now? Do you have an email list already to work with? And if you do, then let's start working in this area to either get them to buy from you again or to share your information with their friends. If it's a larger organization, like I have a language school that I'm working with, and what they found when we went through this, because we go through the chart together and figure out where are your weaknesses, where are you not active. And what they found when we looked at this is they're pretty active on social media, but it's all in this level. Like all of the content they're putting out is just relevant to people who are either already registered in their class or are looking at their school as an option. They didn't have any content out here that the algorithms would put in front of new people. So this was an area that we identified they could focus on. It's a really good question. So let's see, does anyone have any marketing situation that we can play with?
Well, I have two, and if it's all right, I'd like to go with one that is more focused on me because the other will become a bit too NSFW. I'm pretty sure Christian and Chris are both know of which I'm talking about. Yeah, recently we made a pivot personally where I wanted to work with more small scale businesses and open myself up as a fractional consultant because not everybody can afford to pay us $300,000 a year and more. So now I open myself up as a fractional consultant, and the things I've seen is that with my growth loops and everything else, there's a lot of awareness being created. We are doing awareness through email marketing as well as mostly social media via LinkedIn and networking with a lot of incubators and investors. So we have been getting a lot of awareness consideration. So on average, our click-through rate to just check out our website and everything is 90 out of 100. So it's a 90% click-through rate right now. Whereas the purchase rate is only 2. So we have sent out about 100 emails so far in the last 2 weeks, and we have only converted 2 people. So while that sounds good, but I feel like in the larger range, the conversion might go down, obviously, as the pool increases. And this was more closer because obviously these people knew me already. I feel like there's a lot more in terms of loyalty and advocacy because a lot of our clients who knew of us and were hesitant to refer us to their small business friends because they knew that our pricing is so and so, so they were hesitant to do that. So I'm getting advocacy from an entirely different growth loop right now where our clients are now referring us to all of these new businesses that they know of. And even the investors we work with, they're referring me to their new portfolios where they know that they can make these minor investments now. So that's where I'm going. But I would like to see what I can do in terms of my purchase rate because of the 90 that are clicking and coming up and who are just going to the website and everything, they're seeing the different options. Should I put some sort of like we are doing retargeting and everything, and so we're able to track these things properly. So what should I do in terms of, getting them on that call? I have put an option where they like, so it's not like you directly book a call, to get on the service. You have to get a call with me to see if you're a good fit and everything. A lot of people have told me to go with a trial service as well, so they can get one consultation for like $500 or something like that. But yeah, I would love to know what your thoughts on that.
Okay, so let me ask you about the email list.
Yeah.
Are they people that have already worked with you?
So the first 100 people were the ones who worked with me,
Mhm.
and it got picked up very quickly. So right now we are at 4,000 something in the last month since we started. And a lot of people are just journalists as well as, other small businesses that none of these people have worked with us. So aside from the first 100, none of these people have worked with us. Some of them are curious students, some of them are businesses that are considering our services, because we put out polls for the newsletter as well. Like, would you be interested? Does this help you? Do you need clarity with these things? So at least 260 people out of the 400 who do 4,000 who get the newsletter and everything, they always end up saying that, yeah, we need help with you. We would love to get on a call, but they don't take the next steps. And even if they do, then there are very few who are either in the pre-seed stage or have got the seed funding. So they are about at least have gotten 1 to 3 million to invest in this. For them, I think that's a consideration, because even with the service, if they go on a yearly plan with me, it's going to be about $96,000. And so I think that's the biggest challenge they're facing, where they're like, let's try to invest a very minute percentage of our overall investment, even though this will help them scale and invest and get later rounds of funding and everything.
Okay, okay. So, so this is the way that I would use my chart to come up
Yeah.
with some answers for you. So you have two very different populations in your email group. You have people that have not worked with you. They're right
Yeah.
here. They're sort of in the consideration level.
Yes.
And then you have people who are your existing clients.
Yes.
And they need different information. So
Yeah.
the people who have not worked with you, they just know of you.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly what their intention is, if they're going to be a referral partner or need your services. But this is the kind of information that you want to be sending them. You want to be educating them, showing them the different options that they have, and
Yeah.
showing you as an expert, because you don't know if they might need help next week or next year. But if you are continually educating them and showing them who you are, and that when they're ready, you will be there, then that will keep you fresh in their mind.
Yes.
And so I would focus on sending those folks this type of information, or sending them to your website where your blog articles that are talking about this kind of information.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
kind of what we're doing with the newsletters. So all the newsletters, they're very educational. They're very tailored to their challenges and things that they or their customers would struggle. So that's why there's also a lot of pickup and engagement and sharing. But yeah.
and then what is the open rate?
Right now, on average, it's 30%.
30%?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
We're in the sweet zone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what that tells me is that you're sending out these emails, and
Yeah.
maybe they're not ready yet, but they are interested and they are opening them.
Yes.
Maybe what you could do is, so if you're trying to get them to move down to the next level, then then you want to, on those landing pages or wherever you're sending them, and maybe you need to segment this list between people who just opened it and didn't click on anything, or opened it and clicked, and create a segment, and continue sending this type of information to the people who are just clicking, but then graduate people down to this type of content.
Yes.
That's what I recommend. And the surface, is that helpful, or does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or maybe you're already doing that.
Well, actually, what you said really helped the segmentation part, because I do see these analysis where some people are literally going through certain sections of the newsletter again and again, and because we have the heat maps and everything set up, so you can track that as well. And so I'm noticing that these are the things that they're really finding interesting and engaging. And it's very rare to see people like your newsletter, because they do go through the whole thing, but they don't like it. They don't take the effort. But nowadays people are even doing that. So that shows that some of these people need to be segmented in a whole other thing, and they're a lot more warmer than the other leads and everything. So
Yeah, and it would be interesting to find out, maybe you can do a little survey for those folks. Like, hey, we see you're really interested in these heat maps. How are you using them?
Yeah.
Just try to segment them a little bit.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Any other scenarios that we can talk about for fun? I could call out some names.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Krista.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Gregory. My question was basically when in the awareness stage comes about, the only way people can kind of get help is when they're aware they have a problem. So how do we get people to become more problem aware to the point that they know that they need to reach out to us to help them?
Okay, that's a really good question. So this is where you can let the algorithms do the work for you. What you want to do is find out, so like, for example, what would the problem be in your scenario?
For example, they need better branding or a branding refresh or a website to be built.
Okay, all right. So they need some new, fresher digital assets. Okay. So if you are wanting to get new eyes on your services, then what you want to be doing is creating content that's kind of around not just their specific problem, because like you said, they might not be aware of it, or maybe they're trying to ignore it. It's what a lot of people do. Like, I know my website is horrible and ugly, but I'm just going to pretend that it's fine. So what you want to do is focus on their desire and their future tense. So their desire would be to have an amazing, beautiful brand that people love. And if they have that, then in the future, they will have loyal customers, they'll have a brand that people love. And so what you can do is you can create social posts around the subject of what it's like to have a beautiful brand, what it's like to have a successful business. What does that do for you personally when your business is running really well? And create that sort of content, and then the algorithms will match up that content with these new folks that you're trying to reach. So for example, I'm a foodie, so a lot of my content is around food, and a lot of my clients, by coincidence, are also foodies. So I post a lot of content about food, and that reaches people that have similar interests to myself and similar aesthetic to myself. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Greg, did you have a question or an idea?
Yeah, I actually, my dog is barking in the background. I'm so sorry. I have a new product. It's a database of marketing phrases. And in my mind, I feel like there might be, if I'm lucky, 500 people on the entire planet who would find this product useful. So, it's not milk, eggs, or sugar. It's very niche oriented. So I'm just wondering if you have any guidance based on your Boldcraft playbook. What is the tactical approach that I might take? I mean, I've already kind of started with LinkedIn Sales Navigator and trying to hunt and peck to find the right fit, but and then reaching out to people literally directly. But I don't know whether like a postal mail campaign or email or private messaging, what would be a good strategy for something like that. And I don't know if you've encountered something like that, a product that has a very limited base of potential subscribers.
All right, so what I heard you say is you have a database of marketing phrases. And are they marketing phrases that are encouraging for marketers, or like what type of phrase?
I should have been more specific. Really, it's mottos, slogans, and taglines that are used by corporations or products to, kind of engage the consumer. You're in good hands with Allstate, or McDonald's, I'm loving it, that type of thing.
Okay, so they provide inspiration or research
Yeah,
into.
it's really more though, like, yeah, it's to help marketing communications people, ad agencies, brand consultants to kind of search the database to kind of get ideas, new ideas, and also to see what's kind of already been done over and over again and they'd want to stay away from. And it's kind of it's a step before like a US Patent and Trademark Office search.
Okay, I see. So it's also related to, they want to do some research. Okay, got it. All right, well, you are lucky in the sense that you don't have to create a lot of content. You have that content. And so what you can do is use that content in really creative ways on social media and including in LinkedIn. And you can use them creatively to show, here's a quote. And do you need to research more quotes? Click here to do the research. I mean, you can use your content to promote your product.
Yeah, and I've definitely done that, around Christmas time and the holidays. I did, slogans and taglines that are holiday oriented. I did a blog post about that when we were facing that freight railroad strike. I did a blog post about, slogans used by railroads over the years. And so, yeah, there's no shortage of content that I can, post about.
So when you were publishing content, it sounds like you were doing blog articles and social media posts. Were you looking at the analytics?
A little bit. I try to, unfortunately for just, kind of a one-person operation like me, my corporate brand, I think on LinkedIn has, I don't know, 150 followers. And, on Facebook, I'm lucky to have 35 or something like that. So, I look at the analytics, but there's not a whole lot to derive from that just because the exposures are so limited.
So what I recommend you do, have you heard of a tool called Answer the Public?
Oh yeah, I have.
You can look on there to find out what searches people are doing around your topic. And then use those as headlines for your blog article. Because what you want to start doing is establishing yourself as, and this is 2 algorithms, establishing yourself as an expert in providing taglines and basically a database of logos and taglines. So you want to start working with the algorithms. Let them do the work for you.
Right.
Then
right.
Once you start getting some engagement or some visits to your site, that's going to help you a lot. But you're in a similar situation to me. You have a very cerebral product, and it's really hard to get on the other side of that, to see it from the outside. And so I recommend you find someone who can help you look at yourself from the outside. Could be a friend or hire someone for a couple of hours to take you through that exercise of looking at yourself from the other side.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much, Wendy. Appreciate it.
Welcome. You're welcome. Well, I'm looking at the time here. We have a little bit of time left if you guys have any questions. And if you don't, I would love to get your feedback on how this resonates with you or doesn't resonate with you, and does it feel helpful?
Wendy, I'm
Wendy,
sorry. I have another question, but Greg, you go first.
Well, mine, I don't know if you have an answer for it, but have you found any, have you had any impression or findings about whether paid ads work better on different platforms, i.e. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn? I'm sure it depends on what is the product or service you're trying to promote, but, just generally speaking, have you gotten any sort of analytics? back on which platforms seem to work best?
Yeah, so generally speaking, LinkedIn is really expensive, and there's not a lot of success in getting actual leads. Facebook is great for retargeting. So for example, if you want to show someone an ad after they've come to your website, instead of using Google, use Facebook or Meta. It's cheaper and you get broader reach. For search, obviously Google Analytics, Google is best for that. And then it depends. Then after those that top level assessment, then it depends on the age and gender. So obviously TikTok is more popular with the younger people. Instagram is really popular with creative types. I would imagine in your industry, because you're looking for creative types, they're going to be on Instagram and on TikTok. And probably on LinkedIn. If you know, what I've seen worked on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, they're really now trying to increase engagement between people who are connected, is just go on LinkedIn and connect with as many creative folks as you can, and then start engaging with them.
Wonderful.
Go ahead,
Just
Christy.
a quick question. So my friend and I have been dabbling with ideas of like building some type of digital asset to market as passive income. So whether that looks like a guidebook or a zine or maybe even a course of some sort. I think what we have so many ideas bubbling, and we definitely have enough experience to muddle something together. The question is just a matter of how to get it to the right people, and then also to make it something that we feel like we can sell, especially since neither of us, I mean, we have enough of a digital presence, just like being young people who grew up with the internet. But in terms of like establishing ourselves as like, hey, and we do this and we sell these products, we're not like, we don't have that foundation. So starting from scratch, thinking about easy digital products that we can sell for, anything from like $1 to, a lengthier guidebook or course that could be $50. What do you recommend we take a look at?
Okay, so when you're trying to pick a product, of course, make sure it's something that you're really passionate about and can get really excited about, because that will come through in everything that you do. And what I've seen is that you can pick any product, anything, any crazy product, and if you really like it or enjoy it or think it's useful, you can become successful with that product. When you're first trying to get new people to see your product, I mean, you're lucky because, like you mentioned, you're already really engaged in social media. I would stay away from doing ads. Notice I don't have it colored here for building awareness. It's really expensive to run ads to show brand new people. The other way to do it is participating in events and working with partners. This is the best way to get started with a brand new product, because they already have an audience in place for you. And then also you have your own audience here as well. And you can publish a little book on Amazon and sell that and send people to your Amazon product. You don't have to build a website around that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. Well, I'll keep you updated and see how it all goes down.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Wonderful.